Hello everyone, thanks for watching my channel. You're watching the top 10 juggling practice tips. They're more of like personal tips, so if you have some other things that you like, for instance, some people when they practice have really bad posture. I tend to juggle with pretty decent posture, so I didn't put that in these tips because to me, it's not super important, it happens naturally. If you're really impatient and you just want to see them all, you don't want to watch my rambling and explanation of each one, look in the description, I've listed them all out ahead of you. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the list. These aren't really listed in any particular order, but number one is actually the most important. Number one is practice every day. Now, as you guys know, practicing is the backbone of getting good at anything, and it's not different for juggling. But the thing is, if you skip days and you just go here and there, you're not going to see the improvement that you really want to see. You need to be practicing every single day, even if that means doing like a little 10-15 minute thing in your house if you can't get to a gym or a racquetball court or whatever. Practice every single day. And especially if you're working on a trick that's giving you a lot of trouble, practice that trick every single day. Number two, strength matters. This one's going to be kind of contentious for a lot of jugglers, but in my experience, strength has been super important in juggling practice. What do I mean by that? Well, especially if you're doing numbers like 7 balls, 5 clubs, God forbid 7 clubs, I'm not working on that, I'm sure somebody out there is. You really need to work on your strength. And that doesn't only mean arm strength. It also means ab strength. It also means leg strength. Because I'm telling you right now, when you do a high throw or a really quick throw, you're using your legs and your abs as well as your arms. And you can prove this to yourself by sit down, cross your legs, and try and do high throws. It will be really difficult. You'll find yourself moving like this, trying to get some of your ab strength into the throw. So strength is really important. Personally, I like to go to the gym. I like to lift weights. I also like to do handstands. I feel like they're really good for your shoulder strength and really fun to practice. So it's not so hard for me to motivate myself to do it. Number three, don't move. What do I mean by this? Well, a lot of times when you're practicing a trick, let's say you're working on 3 club back crosses. A lot of people will tend to either sway side to side while they're doing them or step forward and walk as they're doing it. This is really bad for your form. You're going to learn the trick for sure, but you're always going to want to walk forward while you do it. This doesn't necessarily apply to all practice. For instance, when I'm creating new tricks or messing around with my friend and just trying to do silly stuff that I'm not ever intending to perform or get really great at, moving around can be a lot of fun and it can add a lot to your juggling experience. If you're practicing a trick that you really want to get good at, you really need to plant your feet and don't move. If you would need to move to catch a ball or a club or ring or whatever, just drop or step forward, catch the ball, but don't keep juggling. If you move and you keep doing the trick, you're essentially making a mistake that would have caused you to drop and fixing it with a movement. And this can cause like a lot of problems that cascade into one another. So like say for instance, you're doing 3 club back crosses. You do one and it goes forward. You step forward to catch it, and then you do an immediate other back cross. Now that back cross is being thrown in like a strange environment. Like you're moving forward, your back's probably bent forward from reaching out for the other club, and suddenly your next throw is going to be bad too. It's just really not a good way to practice, and I promise you, if you can stand perfectly still and run any trick, you're going to be able to do it moving if anything happens during a show or if you mess up the trick. Number 4, breathe calmly and consistently. This one is one that took me years to figure out. I didn't know that I was doing anything wrong, and when I figured this out, it helped me with a lot of tricks. Now, for those of you who don't understand what I mean, you might notice or you might not notice, maybe this isn't an issue for you. When you do, like, for instance, a really complicated quick trick, you hold your breath, do it, and then breathe out. That is really, really bad for juggling, especially if you want to do that trick for a long run. Like for me, I used to do this when I did like a 5-ball shower. I'd go and then breathe out when I was done with it. But then I found when I was doing longer showers, I was getting a little lightheaded and it wasn't good for me. Or like I would hold my breath when I was about to do a 360, and then the lack of oxygen would make me a little unfocused. And then especially after long practice sessions, I would feel like out of it and dizzy. It's very important, especially when you're running a trick that's difficult for you. Take a couple deep breaths, and while you're doing the trick, while you're performing the trick, breathe slowly, calmly, and consistently. Number 5, you don't learn in the first 30 minutes. This one's a little contentious and I've gotten a few questions about it, so let me just try and explain in a little more detail. I don't mean literally you don't learn in the first 30 minutes of your practice. What I mean is, a lot of times in the beginning of your practice, you're not warmed up, you're not focused, you're not entering a flow state while you juggle. For me, when you start to hit that 30-minute barrier, I start to get in the flow state, I start to feel comfortable, and my muscles are warmed up, and I can really, really, really get some progress in. The other side of this is oftentimes I would go and practice, and it would be 30 minutes or around there, and then that's the time where I'd start to get a little tired maybe, start to hit the first barrier of boredom, start to feel fatigued, and I would stop juggling. And I found that that wasn't helping me improve very much, and I needed to stay for longer practices, like an hour and a half. Number 6, think about why you drop. This is another one that took me a lot of years to figure out. I would do tricks over and over again, especially if I thought I knew how to do it. Like maybe I could get a few catches of it, but I couldn't really run it. And I would do it over and over again in practice, and I wouldn't be getting any better. Especially for me with spins, 360s, 720s, that type of thing. I had a lot of trouble learning them in the beginning, and I actually still have a lot of trouble with them now. And part of the problem was when I would practice, I would do a 3-up, spin, come back around, drop, and I would just pick them right back up and start going again without thinking about why did I drop. And eventually I realized, oh, well, the third ball is actually not in the right trajectory, but I'm just spinning really quick and I don't even notice it. And then without thinking about why I drop, I don't fix the issue. So always when you drop, if it's not obvious to you, just think, why did I drop that? Why did the balls hit the ground? Why did I have to reach out really far to get it? That type of thing. Number 7, and this is a good tip for your everyday life, drink water. When I go practice, I always try and bring a liter or more of water, and I don't really like to end practice unless I've drunk all the water. This one goes along with the next tip actually really closely. Number 8, take breaks. There's a fire somewhere. Take a break from making this video. When you don't take breaks, you get out of breath, you get fatigued and tired, and it also makes you get frustrated sometimes. So every once in a while, like every 20, 30 minutes, just sit down for a minute, 30 seconds even, 5 minutes if you really need it, check your phone, do whatever, take a deep breath, and reset your mind. Number 9, don't get frustrated. This one is a direct shout out to me from like 5 years ago. I've been working on I don't know what I was working on 5 years ago, 6 balls or something. And I would drop it over and over again, and I would get frustrated and throw them all on the ground. And I just found that any time I was practicing and I got frustrated, there was no chance I was actually going to improve. What you should do is when you start to get frustrated with a trick or anything, just take a break. Just sit down, have a sip of water. It's going to be fine. You're not going to get better by getting frustrated. And if you're getting frustrated in practice, you're more likely to not want to practice again. And finally, number 10. Save this one for last, but it's probably one of the most important ones on this list, and it's one that a lot of jugglers don't do. Long runs and consistency are keys. Now, what do I mean by this? Okay, so back when I was learning 7-5-3-1 with 4 balls, I thought I knew how to do this trick. I would go from a 4-ball cascade, I would do a 7-5-3-1, back to a 4-ball cascade, and I could do it almost every time. Turns out I couldn't really do that trick. Yes, I could hit it one time in a pattern and go back to qualify, but I was making mistakes that weren't shown because I wasn't continuing the trick. So I started practicing 7-5-3-1-4, which is not only continuous, but it works both sides of the pattern. Once I started working on 7-5-3-1-4, I realized I didn't really know 7-5-3-1. I don't want to get caught in the weeds of the specifics of this trick, but essentially what was happening is my 3 was going too high, and so I was reaching up and claw catching it, which in a pattern where I'm resetting every time is not really going to make an issue. But while I'm doing 7-5-3-1-4 and going right back to 7-5-3-1-4, it caused the issue that then allowed me to fix the trick. So when you're practicing, if you're getting a trick, keep practicing it. If you're working on 3 club back crosses, like I said before, try and get 50 in a row or 100 in a row. That's where you're really going to start to see what your actual mistakes are and what you were just not messing up enough to destroy the pattern. What I mean by that is, let's say you're doing the 3 club back cross and you throw one too far forward. You might be able to fix it, like I said before, and it might cascade into another issue, as I said. But if you're only doing 6 catches, those 2 issues are going to be fixed before they really become a problem. But let's say you throw it too far forward, you throw the next one, and it comes over here, and then you throw that one, you catch it really high, and you don't throw it in time, and it goes too far to the left, and suddenly you've got all these issues that you didn't know you were having with the pattern that only reveal themselves when you're trying to do long runs. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this type of video, please let me know in the comments. And if you have any tips that I didn't mention here, please tell me them. I know I'm not the greatest juggler who's ever lived. I could use a lot of your help. Maybe I haven't thought of things that could help me out. Maybe you thought of things that are really genius and would make me improve greatly. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.